Hi, my name is Louis Urbina. I am an undergrad student here at Lamar University and also an RN weekend supervisor at this nursing community. With the hurricane season upon us, for instance, Hurricane Matthew, we must ask ourselves, how prepared are we for disaster? A disaster can be in the form of a flood from hurricane waters, power outages from falling trees, fires set by the kitchen, snowstorms, or icy roads, or any terrorist attack. Today we are going to discuss disaster preparedness in the nursing home community. I have handed out some questions with today's topic, which we will be able to answer by the end of the presentation. With the nursing home being renovated, many exits and entrances have been changed and also room changes. It is important to know which exit is the closest to us, so in the case of an evacuation, we can evacuate in an organized manner that can ensure the safety of all of us. All exits have a red lighted sign indicating them as an exit. On the first floor, there are 3 functioning exits. One on the west hall, one in the day room, and one in the east hall. On the second floor, we have one exit on the west hall. The exits on the first floor lead to the side of the building, which leads to the front. And the exit on the second floor leads to San Pedro Avenue. Here, we can see the exit on the first floor on the west hall, which has this sign indicating it as an exit. Also, we have here the exit on the first floor day room, and it has also the exit sign on top there. And on the first floor east hall, we have an exit too, which you can see the exit sign on there as well. And here's the one on the second floor, West Hall, which you can see again the exit sign. Another concern that comes up is who initiates the evacuation process. The administrator, maintenance director, or director of nurses will initiate the evacuation process based on disaster prediction from reliable source, for example, the American Red Cross or the National Weather Service, or active disaster. The nursing staff will guide the residents that have no physical or mental limitations to the nearest exit. If you're able to help any residents to evacuate the facility, we highly encourage it. It is also known as a buddy system. Residents who are wheelchair bound will be evacuated by nursing staff, followed by residents that are bed bound. The goal of evacuation, mainly in long-term care, is to try to evacuate the most residents in a short amount of time. Nursing personnel are distinguished by their color of their uniforms. Licensed nurses, for example, licensed vocational nurses and registered nurses wear navy blue scrub, and non-licensed nursing personnel wear a burgundy scrub, which includes your nurse's aides and your medication tags. Residents will then meet at the designated meeting place, which we will discuss at the end of the presentation. I have passed out maps of the facility. We're going to indicate which exit is the closest to you based on your room location. So here I have the map of the first floor. So if you're in room 101, your nearest exit is on the west end of the hall, as opposed to if you're in room 115, the nearest exit to you is the one in the TV room. So if you're in room 124, the nearest exit to you is on the east end, which is over here. Then if you're on the second floor, If you're in room 210, of course the only exit there is the one on the west end of the hall. We must remember that during evacuation not to utilize any elevators, since an elevator can malfunction during any disaster, or in case of a fire, they can act as a smoke shaft, causing suffocation to its occupants. Another question that may arise during disaster preparation is, what items or belongings does one need during a disaster or disaster evacuation? The main documents that one needs are demographic sheets, or what we call the face sheets, a copy of the plan of care, and a copy of their advance directives, which include your DNRs, which are do not resuscitate forms, or your living wills. A copy of these documents are kept in the residence chart at the nurse's station for easy accessibility during evacuation. These documents are updated monthly. The face sheet contains information about your insurance, about your power of attorney, any family members that we might need to get a hold of during evacuation, or to let them know their status. The plan of care and the other legal documents are important so we can continue the care during evacuation in case that we need to transfer to a shelter, or to another nursing facility, or to a hospital. And I have the binder right here. This is kept at the nurse's station, and it's labeled as face sheet, plan of care, advance directives. And as you can tell, there is a copy, this is a blank copy of a face sheet, a plan of care, and a DNR, and they're alphabetized by resident's last name, so they're here in case that we do need to evacuate. We must also ensure that we have backup medical supplies for the residents. Example, the residents on oxygen, we must ensure that we have an adequate amount of oxygen in stock. And here, as you can tell, we have plenty of oxygen in case that we do have to evacuate. We must also ensure that we have a 2-week supply of medications for each resident in case that we do have to evacuate, or there is a disaster in place. A 2-week supply is kept always, and the medication carts. As you can tell right here, we have plenty of medications to go around for those 2 weeks for each of our residents. In case that we do stay behind due to maybe icy roads, which usually that happens here in San Antonio, when you get icy roads, the city stops. So in case that happens, we need to ensure that we have an adequate amount of water. The formula is usually 1 gallon per person per day. And as you can tell, we have plenty of water to go around in case we get stranded for 2 weeks. We must also ensure that we have an adequate amount of food in stock. Usually it's about 2 weeks. This is all essential, which is the food and the water to sustain life, of course. So here we have our pantry from dietary. We do have enough food for 2 weeks for our residents to go around. Other items that are essential to disaster or disaster preparedness are in our disaster box, which include battery-operated radios, and flashlights. These boxes are kept in the bedroom. We have some of them. We highly encourage residents, if they want to get anything for disaster preparedness, to get either battery have a few that to go around. Now I'm going to open it. So we have our battery operated radio, so we can be updated if we need disaster updates or any further need for evacuation. We have batteries in stock, so we can replenish those. We have flashlights. We have one big flashlight and plenty of little ones. And like I said, the radio is good to have in case we need updates on the weather conditions, the batteries, so we can keep these items functioning, the flashlights, that's light source in case that we need to go to an area that that's dark or during the night. Any questions? No? Okay, let's move on to the next topic. The last topic of concern for disaster preparation is what resources are available to us after a disaster or a disaster evacuation. Our meeting place, which is a parking lot located across the street, is an important resource to us since it provides temporary refuge until further evacuation is instructed. And here we have a picture of where, this is where we're at, and that's the parking lot across the street where we'll meet after we evacuated the building. The American Red Cross will direct us to the nearest shelter that can accommodate for special accommodations for our special community. Our long-term care system is also a great resource since it allows mobility to other nursing homes in case we are displaced for prolonged periods of time. There's about 3 nursing homes that belong to this nursing home system, and there's one in Houston as well in case we need to move further. The ambulance is also another great resource since they'll provide us with transportation to nearby shelters or sister nursing home facilities. Transportation would be via charter bus, wheelchair van for the wheelchair resident, and ambulance for the bed-bound residents. Any questions? No? Okay. I have passed out a handout which summarizes what we have learned today in case that we do have a disaster and it can prepare us better. Which it's right here. I handed it out to you. Which is entitled Ready, Set, Prepare. Disaster Preparedness for the Long-Term Community. Items needed for a disaster include 2 weeks of medications, 2 weeks of food, 1 gallon of water per person per day, medical equipment if needed, flashlights, batteries and battery-operated radios, and important documents which include your demographic sheets, your plan of care, and your events directives. That's all needed for preparedness. Disaster evacuation, which includes the alarm, how the disaster is initiated, buddy system, nursing personnel to assess residents with physical or mental limitations, and meeting place, which is across the street. And recovery, which includes rescue, transportation via charter bus, ambulance, or wheelchair van, shelter, 2 Red Cross shelters, or other nursing home communities. The information presented today will help us better prepare ourselves for disaster. As a community, we must work hard to ensure the safety of all. Thank you.